Hello everyone, this is World Exposure. You know, it is so sad how the liberals have dangerously divided the left from the right in spite of the tragedy in Tucson, Arizona. Eric Fuller, one of the survivors who was shot in the knee, said in an interview with Democracy Now!, quote, "It looks like Palin, Beck, Sharon Angle, and the rest got their first target. Their wish for Second Amendment activism has been fulfilled." Well now, this guy that has echoed so much the very same blame from those on the left has now been arrested for threatening to kill Tea Party spokesman Trent Humphries during a taping of an ABC town hall meeting called After the Tragedy, an American Conversation Continued. It was being filmed in a Catholic church in Tucson. Fuller was also arrested for intimidation and disorderly conduct. The reports say that Tea Party spokesman Trent Humphries had just made the suggestion that they should wait and not talk about gun control until those that were killed were buried, when Eric Fuller, who was sitting in the front row, then stood up, took Trent Humphries' picture and shouted, "You're dead." Well now, thank God that Fuller had a camera in his hand instead of a gun. And what was it that all those people on the left kept saying about those on the right needed to watch their rhetoric because it influences people like the Tucson shooter? Well, it looks to me like all those false, slanderous, libel accusations from those on the left was what influenced Eric Fuller to threaten to kill Tea Party spokesman Trent Humphries. And Eric Fuller is equally as hypocritical as the rest of the left. He is so critical about the Second Amendment, then he turns around and makes a death threat. How hypocritical is that? And you, Keith Olbermann, the moron who blamed the same people that Eric Fuller also later laid the same blame on in his interview with Democracy Now!, you were saying how the likes of Sarah Palin, Sharon Angle, Glenn Beck, and the Tea Party should repudiate themselves from the things that caused this black cloud of violence in Arizona. You say they should apologize. Yet there is no link linking any of these people with the Tucson shooter. There is, Keith Olbermann, quite a few links with you and Eric Fuller blaming the same people for this black cloud of violence, which now includes a death threat from Eric Fuller to the Tea Party spokesman. Now maybe you should repudiate yourself for laying down any of that blame on these people or be repudiated from television for good. Now remember, you also quoted your good friend the Pima County Sheriff when he wasn't focusing on the crime scene but instead talking about the political climate, where the sheriff said this.
And I think it's time as a country that we need to do a little soul searching, because I think it's the vitriolic rhetoric that we hear day in and day out from people in the radio business and some people in the TV business, and what we see on TV and how our youngsters are being raised, that this has not become the nice United States of America that most of us grew up in. And I think it's time that we do the soul searching. But again, I'd just like to say that when you look at unbalanced people, how they are, how they respond to the vitriol that comes out of certain mouths about tearing down the government, the anger, the hatred, the bigotry that goes on in this country is getting to be outrageous. And unfortunately, Arizona, I think, has become sort of the capital. We have become the Mecca for prejudice and bigotry. Let me just say one thing, because people tend to poo-poo this business about all the vitriol that we hear inflaming the American public by people who make a living off of doing that. That may be free speech, but it's not without consequences.